Please give me examples of mastermind alliances in action for me to pass along to my students in the years to come. Come over to the window. I'll show you an illustration from the transportation industry. Right out there in the railroad yards is a fine example of the mastermind in action. See the freight train being made ready for its run? Its crew of men will coordinate their efforts in a spirit of harmony. The conductor is their leader. The train only reaches its destination because all others on the crew recognize and respect the conductor's authority, carrying out his instructions in a spirit of harmony. What do you suppose would happen to that train if the engineer neglected or refused to obey the conductor's signals? Why, there might be a wreck that would cost lives. Exactly. Running a successful business calls for application of the same principle. It's essential in this train's operation. When there is a lack of harmony between those engaged in running a business, the bankruptcy court is not far away. Do you understand? You must, because this principle deals with the very heart of successful achievement in every field of human endeavor. Mr. Carnegie, will you please define in just a few words the term mastermind? Certainly. A mastermind is an alliance of two or more minds working together in the spirit of perfect harmony for the attainment of a definite purpose. Are you saying that the mere choice of a major purpose in life is not of itself enough to ensure success? To achieve the object of one's major goal, if it be a proportion above mediocrity, one must so relate himself to the members of his mastermind alliance that he will procure the full benefit of their brains in a spirit of harmony. Failure to understand this truth has cost many men their chances for business success. A man may bring together a group appearing to have cooperation and perhaps have it on the surface, but surface appearance is not what counts. It is the mental attitude of each member of the group. Before any alliance of men can constitute a mastermind, everyone in the group must have his heart and his head in full sympathy with the object of the alliance, and he must be in perfect harmony with the leader and every other member of the alliance. How is complete harmony accomplished, Mr. Carnegie? To begin, remember that everything a man does has a definite motive behind the action. We are all creatures of habit and motive. We begin doing things because of motive and habit. There may come a time when motive is forgotten and we continue on because of established habit. There are but 9 major motives to which people respond. You shall soon see for yourself how men possessing these motives are influenced to work harmoniously with others. At the very outset, in organizing a mastermind alliance, the leader must first select men as members who have the ability to do what is required of them, and secondly, men who will respond in a spirit of harmony to the particular motive held out to them in return for their aid. Mr. Carnegie, you previously referred to these 9 major motives for voluntary action as the alphabet of success. What are they? The 9 major approaches to all minds in some coordination or combination creates the moving spirit behind everything we do. They are the emotion of love, the emotion of sex, desire for financial gain, desire for self-preservation, desire for freedom of body and mind, desire for self-expression, desire for perpetuation of life after death. And there's 2 negative, powerful stimulants, the emotion of anger and the emotion of fear. The leader of a successful mastermind alliance must depend upon 1 or more of these basic motives to induce each member of this group to give a harmonious cooperation required for success. Here's an example of how 2 of these major motives are combined. Romance is a blend of the emotions of love and sex. It's a healthy, normal impulse if not degraded by physical desire. It takes drudgery from toil. It raises the thoughts of most humble workers, to the status of genius. It drives away discouragement and replaces it with definiteness of purpose. It transforms poverty into a mighty and irresistible power for achievement. It fires the imagination and forces it to become active and creative. It has been the heart and soul of every outstanding man of achievement who has ever left footprints on the sands of time. One who successfully builds a mastermind alliance must then know men quite well. How did you manage to choose yours so successfully? Was it by sight or trial and error? I know no man smart enough to judge others accurately by sight. While there are certain surface indications which may suggest a man's ability, there is one quality more important than all others. The deciding factor of a man's value as a member of a mastermind is his mental attitude toward himself and his associates. If his attitude is negative, selfish, egotistical, and adversely provocative in relationship with others, then he won't fit. Moreover, if such a man remains a member of an alliance, he may become so obstructive in his influence with others that he will destroy their usefulness as well as his own. Some of our group came up from the rank and file of our workers after having demonstrated ability. Some were chosen from outside through the trial and error method. Some most able started at the very bottom and worked their way up. The man who has the ability in any line, plus the right mental attitude towards his associates, usually is found at the top of the ladder, regardless of occupation. There are great premiums on having efficiency with the right mental attitude. Stress this fact when you present this philosophy of individual achievement. Must an organizer of an alliance be a master in his field of endeavor before he can successfully manage others there? I know but little of the technical requirements in the manufacturing and marketing of steel, nor is it essential that I have this knowledge because the mastermind comes to my aid. I have surrounded myself with more than a score of men whose combined education, experience, and ability gives me the full benefit of all that is known up to the present time about the making and marketing of steel. My job is to keep these men motivated with a desire to do the finest possible job. Trace back to the 9 motives, especially the desire for financial gain. My system of compensation permits every member of my mastermind to name his own financial reward, arranged so that each individual must establish definite proof that he has earned more before he receives more. My system encourages individual initiative, imagination, and enthusiasm, leading to continuous personal development and growth. Remember, my major purpose in life is the development of men. My money came as a natural reward of that focus. I understand. Is the mastermind principle the sole source of your stupendous achievements in the steel industry and the basis of your huge fortune? Oh, no. Other principles apply, but they are less important than the mastermind. The second principle, definiteness of purpose, combined with the mastermind principle, produces a successful industry. See those hobos down there in that freight car? Here is a perfect example of a group of men without definiteness of purpose, without a mastermind. They are without purpose and without coordinated effort. If they would put their heads together, choose a definite purpose, and adopt a definite plan for carrying it out, they might well be the crew that runs that freight train instead of an unfortunate, poverty-stricken group of homeless men. Mr. Carnegie, you have said that the Bible teaches the practical philosophy of achievement that these men have missed. Please explain. I have found it in the New Testament. Speaking of Jesus and his 12 disciples, Christ was the first who made definite use of the mastermind principle. Recall his unusual power and that of his disciples after the crucifixion. It's my theory that Christ's power grew out of his relationship with God and that the power of his disciples grew out of their harmonious alliance with him. Does the principle hold for all kinds of relationships? Any form of human relationship where there is cooperation necessary can benefit from the mastermind. For example, observe what happens when a man, his wife, and family all put their hearts and heads together, working for the common good of the entire household. Here you find happiness, contentment, and security. The saying is true that a man's wife can make him or break him. Fortunate indeed is the man who is married to a woman devoted to strengthening his own mind power by blending it with her own in a spirit of sympathetic understanding and harmony. That type of wife will never break any man, but she will most likely help him rise to greater heights. I see. Is it correct to say, Mr. Carnegie, that a proper application and use of the MasterMind Principle gives an individual the benefit of the education and experience of others, while going much further, aiding individuals in the use of spiritual forces available? Precisely. A great psychologist once said that no two minds ever come into contact without there being born of that association a third and intangible mind of greater power than either of the two minds. Whether this third mind becomes a help or a hindrance to one or both depends entirely upon one's mental attitude. If the attitude of both minds is harmonious, sympathetic, cooperative, then the third mind born of the contact may be beneficial to both. If the attitude of one or both of the contacting minds is antagonistic, controversial, unfriendly, the third mind born of the contact will be harmful to both. The law of gravity is immutable. Likewise, the natural law, known as the MasterMind Principle, is also immutable. Okay, Mr. Carnegie, now let me ask this. We know it is both possible and practical to use the education of others. Is it true that no man acquires so much knowledge that he can achieve noteworthy success without the aid of other minds? Correct. Lack of schooling is no valid excuse for failure. Neither is exclusive schooling a guarantee for success. It has been said, knowledge is power. That saying is only a half-truth. Knowledge is potential power. Knowledge becomes power only when organized and expressed in terms of definite action. Do you know the big difference between abundance of knowledge and being educated? The word educate comes from the Latin educare, which means to draw out, to develop from within, to growth or use. It does not mean to acquire and store knowledge. Success is the power to get whatever one desires in life without violating the rights of others. Observe that I use the word power. Knowledge is not power. Power comes in the appropriation and use of others' knowledge and experience for the attainment of some definite purpose. Moreover, this power is of the most beneficial order. Blended in mind power is one man with another. Gives each full benefit of an intangible force which no single mind can ever experience. How does one begin to appropriate and apply this power? It usually begins by a man taking complete charge of the power of his own mind. Remember, of an individual's self-imposed limitations in coordination with a high premium on individual initiative, imagination, and definiteness of purpose. Being born in poverty does not necessitate going through life in poverty. Illiteracy does not have to remain. No amount of opportunity will benefit the man who neglects or refuses to take possession of his own mind power and use it for his own personal advancement. Let me repeat, no man can take the fullest possession of his own mind power without combining it through the MasterMind Principle with the minds of others for the attainment of a definite purpose. Well said, Mr. Carnegie. How can one make the greatest use of schooling? By remembering the 9 basic motives together with a suggestion that no one ever does anything without a motive. Men lend their experience, their knowledge, and their aid to other men because they have been given a sufficient motive for doing so. Obviously, the man who relates himself to his daily associates in a friendly, cooperative mental attitude stands a better chance of learning from them than the man who is belligerent, irritable, discourteous, or neglectful, and the little amenities of courtesy that exist between all cultured people. Remember the old saying, a man can catch more flies with honey than he can with salt. Needing and seeking cooperation, we must go to the school of our daily associates who will know more than we do. Thank you, Mr. Carnegie. for a splendid summary of the advantages to be gained from the MasterMind Principle. I will remember your great point. A man takes fullest possession of his own mind power only by combining it through the MasterMind Principle with the minds of others for attaining a definite purpose. Toastmaster.